We're talking to Kwame Leo Lillard, and the topic is U.S. colored troops and the Battle of Nashville. And of course, Brother Lillard, during this last segment, let's talk about the troops and the Battle of Nashville. And I think you've already indicated how significant Nashville was. But let's get into a discussion about the battle itself.
Okay. The battle occurred on two major days, December 15th, December 16th, 1864. Now, the war had been going on for 3 years at that point, 3 years. Lincoln had issued the proclamation, which is basically a thinly disguised draft for black soldiers.
Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, the proclamation. The battle, the war was just about even kill, dead heat. They were having trouble getting more white people to come in and fight. At that point, it was clear it was about slavery, and many white Northerners were not inclined to free any slaves. So Lincoln had a dilemma. How are you going to prosecute this war with soldiers and you can't find none? So he had a ready ample supply of 200,000 strong, you know, excellent shot black men in the South who knew how to hunt, who knew hard labor, who knew how to fight. So he was able to recruit through the Emancipation Proclamation to about 200,000 black soldiers to win the war. But therefore, by 1864, it was clear he had an ample supply to go ahead and defeat the Confederate Army. In Nashville, the battle had gone from Chattanooga to Murfreesboro, to Franklin, and finally to Nashville. So Nashville was the final crowning battle. And unlike the other battles, it didn't happen in the field. It didn't happen like Gettysburg in the middle of nowhere. It happened right inside the city. Very significant. And you could see that the way the battle lines were shaping up on December 15th, that General Thomas was going to use black troops to break the major strong point of the Confederates. Of course, at that point, black men was expendable. But that's what the black men did. They used their bodies at near the fairgrounds here in Nashville.
Cannon fodder, they call them.
And the most horrendous slaughter occurred where Overton High School is, where Peach Orchard Hill is. There is a marker there right now on Peach Orchard Hill, right there at Harding Road and 8th Avenue. I encourage the people to go see that marker, because that's where black men were slaughtered, and finally they broke the whole back of the Confederate Army. And on December 16th, the white troops came in and mopped up what was left of the Confederate positions about Shies Hill, in the Green Hills area. At that point, the Confederate Army ran down Franklin with black troops pursuing them, and that army was disbanded in January, a few months later. And of course, we all know in April, by that time, once the Battle of Nashville was lost, Lee had no reinforcement in Virginia. So the two major battles were, at that point, Sherman had marched all the way through Georgia. There was no resistance left in there. The only fighting army was Confederate Army in Tennessee and a ragtag army in Virginia. Once the Tennessee army was defeated by the black soldiers, then Lee had to surrender. Nashville, on December 15th and 16th, was the breaking point. And we were the major reason with our blood that we broke the Confederate Army in Nashville on December 16th and 17th. And we lost more black soldiers died than died on either side of the Union or Confederate White Army. In other words, we suffered more casualties in 3 regiments than the entire 4-day battle had on either side of the Union or Confederate Army.
You know, a lot of folks don't seem to understand how very significant, excuse me, African-American participation was in this war. Speak to that again.
Well, it's something that until Clinton came into office, it was never recognized. When Lincoln was killed and they had a celebration of the victory of the Union Army in Washington, D.C., they did not invite a single regiment to parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. So it took from 1865 to Clinton was in office to recognize the black soldiers.
That they had actually fought in the war.
Exactly. They were a non-entity, Brother Hannah. They didn't exist. There were no medals. There were no movies. There were no statues. There was nothing in the history books about the 200,000 black men who wore the Union Army uniform and played major roles in several battles. And unlike the movie Glory, again now, the story of Nashville is that we were victorious. in the movie Glory, they did not defeat the Army out there in South Carolina. But here in Nashville, it's a beautiful, it deserves a movie. It deserves a documentary. Ken Burns ought to come back and do a story.
Something on
That's right. Because that way our children and white children and anybody can see there's a major part missing in the Civil War story, especially when it comes to Nashville. Because this was a place that they had the hardest fighting black regiments. And the 13th Regiment played a major role. And believe it or not, there's a whole new set of young men that are reenactors of that 13th Regiment, USCT regiment right here in Nashville. And one of them was the model for the statue. His name is Bill Ratcliffe. He was the actual model for the statue. And
that's already out there.
Yeah, he is a reenactor with the 13th USCT Regiment. And we're so proud of what he's done in terms of recruiting people to to become reenactors. Because that way you can go to schools, you can go to churches, you can go to programs, you can see these men dressed in the old Civil War. They talk about the muskets, talk about what they ate, and how they endured hardships, but they still fought and won. So we have spent also every year on December 15th paying tribute to the men who fought in the battle. We've never missed a year since '79.
Very good. Go and talk about that activity and some of the people that were involved in that kind of early recognition.
Mr. Kelso has gone on, and James Marsh has gone on, helped us put this tribute together every single year on December 15th. No matter what the weather is, we're at the cemetery at 12 noon on December 15th. That commemorates the Battle of Nashville. We lay a wreath, we have history tours, have a brief program to say thank you to the men who are buried there. We've been doing that with the Lynn Norris's group. We've been doing it with the Village. We've been doing it with many Boy Scouts. We've been doing it with a lot of fraternities and sororities who ask their recruits that they're going through the line to go out there and participate. So over these 7 years, we've had a lot of folks come out there and open their eyes up to the Battle of Nashville and the role played by black men.
And over the last 3 minutes, this statue that you have here is the culmination of many of your efforts. And what are some of the things that you'd like for folks to know who might wish to help support you? I think this is still an ongoing project.
That's correct. We have raised the money to build the statue, to get it poured, the plaque on it, the granite marble, the foundation, the approval from the Veterans Administration. What's left now is to say thanks to all the sponsors, to give them some piece of artwork to say thanks. But more important, we have to maintain the statue so it will not oxidize and turn green. And even more important, we've got to put together a major publicity campaign so that if you come to Nashville and you're in a hotel downtown in Opryland, there'll be a brochure there in the lobby telling you this statue exists, how to get to it, and what it means. So we have lots of fundraising to do, and we want you to look at our organization's federal exempt number. You can send your money to 1215 9th Avenue North on 37208 Nashville, 1215 9th Avenue North. It's a tax deductible. We're federally exempt, certified organization. We will send you a receipt back acknowledging your gift and listing you as a donor in all our publications. We have about $12,000 more to raise to accomplish that.
And so you're working hard over these last few months in terms of not only building the statue, but at least trying to create a fund so that you can maintain it. And you would like for as many people as might be watching this morning to be aware of that and help you. I think you mentioned earlier, or somebody else mentioned earlier, about the amount of contributions. It does not have to be $5,000.
No, it could be $5. It could be $5.
Anything that they wish to give.
That'll help us pay a lunch to a Boy Scout to go out and polish the statue up. Twice a year, you've got to put this special polish on that bronze. Otherwise, it turns an ugly green. And even though this is talking about St. Patrick's Day or whatever, we don't want to turn green. We want it to be nice and bronze for as long as we can keep it bronze. And we also want people to come out there and visit the statue. We deliberately made it a low statue on a very low pedestal so you could touch it. And the artist was Roy Butler, and we were proud of what he did. And the model was Bill Ratcliffe. But we have lots of folks like Ms. Ursery, Lynn Norris, people who helped me for over the years pull this off.
Very
I want to
good.
say thanks to them.
Very good. And of course,